Will you state your first and last name for the record, please?
Miranda Gaddis, Miranda, Gaddis, Gaddes.
You've done this before.
Yes, sir, I have.
And Agent Gaddis, you are currently employed for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
What is your current position?
My current position is in the Criminal Investigation Division. However, prior to that, I was assigned to the Forensic Services Division, which is the crime laboratory, and I was a forensic scientist in the Microanalysis, or what's also known as the Trace Evidence Unit.
Thank you. And were you employed as a microanalysis in April of 2018?
Yes, sir, I was.
And were you also part of the VCRT unit that came to Dixon County and Garners Creek?
Yes, sir, I was.
And tell us some of the qualifications for becoming and working as a microanalysis, yours specifically.
I received a Bachelor of Science degree from Cumberland University in 2002. I then worked for an environmental laboratory for 4.5 years. I then came to TBI, at which time I underwent extensive training in the areas of paint analysis, fiber analysis, shoe and tire track comparisons, as well as physical comparisons. I have also attended and successfully completed training courses at the McCrone Research Institute in Chicago, Illinois, McCrone College of Microscopy in Westmont, Illinois, courses at the National Forensic Science Technology Center in Largo, Florida, as well as a course at the Federal Bureau of Investigation in Quantico, Virginia. During that time of being in the laboratory, I was also a member of the Tennessee Division of the International Association for Identification, as well as being a member of the American Society for Trace Evidence Examiners.
Thank you. And I would tender Agent Gaddis as an expert in microanalysis.
No objection, Your Honor. She will be qualified as an expert in microanalysis.
Agent Gaddis, can you identify this report, please?
Yes, sir.
And what is it?
This is a copy of my official microanalysis report from May 31st of 2018, and it's a physical comparison examination that I did.
Thank you. And what is a physical comparison examination, just generally?
A physical comparison is just as the name implies, so it's looking at the physical characteristics of two items and then comparing those physical characteristics. And in some cases, if an item is broken, much like a jigsaw puzzle, then I'm going to look for those edges along that are the broken edges, and I will try to compare those and fit those back together.
Thank you. And it appears that Exhibit 026A is a piece of black fiberglass from a field off of McElhaney Road. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so was this piece of fiberglass collected in the field and then submitted for microanalysis and comparison?
Yes, sir, it was.
And what were you asked to compare this piece of black plastic to?
I was asked to compare this piece of plastic to two vehicles that were submitted to the laboratory.
And would those two vehicles be a red or maroon Chevrolet Impala and a silver Chevrolet Impala?
Yes, sir.
And do you know why you were asked to do that comparison?
Typically when we're asked to do those, it's because one piece comes from one location and you're trying to tie a vehicle back to that location. In this case, with the plastic being found off of this road, I would imagine they were trying to place a vehicle back at this location.
Okay. And did you complete a comparison?
Yes, sir, I did.
What was the result?
It was inconsistent with the physical characteristics, and it also did not fracture match back to Exhibit 18, which is the silver Impala, and then the maroon Impala did not have any missing parts to compare it back to, and it was inconsistent with that vehicle also.
Okay. So from your kind of knowledge of the case and being on the VCR team, someone collected this piece of evidence which they thought could be from a broken component of the silver Impala or the red Impala?
Yes, sir.
But in fact, it was not.
That's correct.
All right. I'll move this exhibit, or this lab report, as the next exhibit, please. If you would just hand that to the clerk. Thank you. And Agent Gaddis, you completed one additional microanalysis report. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, I did.
And it is a report that was issued on February 12th of 2020.
That's correct.
And can you discuss what you did in this examination?
I was asked to compare fibers that had been removed from a shovel, and I was asked to compare those with clothing from Joseph Daniels, as well as fiber standards that were removed from the trunk of the Impala.
And we've already heard some testimony about how fibers and debris, dirt, hair are collected. In this case, were these type of items, fiber and debris, collected from different areas or different objects?
Can you rephrase
Yeah,
that?
sure. Let's start with Exhibit 013A, Trunk Fiber Standards for Impala.
Yes, sir.
And so what does that mean, trunk fiber standards?
So it depends on what the trunk is like. Specifically with this one, there were two different standards collected. So typically in the trunk of a vehicle, the mat that's present, the fibers can be different than the fibers present on the side of the trunk. So fiber standards are taken from both of those locations.
Okay. And from those fibers from the trunk, what did you do?
So I typically look at those after I look at my question fibers. So I always deal with the question fibers first. In this case, it was the fibers from the shovel, because we're trying to find a location where those fibers came from. So we refer to those as question fibers. So I mount those fibers on a glass slide, and that's so that I can see them microscopically better and gather optical information from those fibers. Then after I've worked with my question fibers, I will deal with my known fibers, which in this case is from the trunk and the clothing from Joseph Daniels. And the reason I wait to do those is I make sure that there's no chance of contamination. So I will wait till the following day to analyze the known fibers, and I'll make sure I've changed my clothing, my lab coat, and everything in between. And then I will mount those fibers on a slide also. And then I will take those slides, my question and my known, and I will put them on a comparison microscope, which basically just has two different stages that I can put my question and known on. And I can look at those at the same time to do a comparison with the fibers from each of the locations.
Okay. So let's back up just a little bit and talk more specifically about an unknown fiber. In this case, were there some unknown fibers collected?
Yes, sir, there were.
And do you know how those fibers were collected? Or where they were collected from?
They were collected from a shovel. I don't know exactly how they were collected because they were collected prior to me processing them.
Okay. And can you identify this photograph?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
This is a microscopic photo that I took of the fibers that were present in the exhibit that contained the fibers from the shovel.
And is the photograph you're holding the same photograph that we see on the screen?
Yes, sir, it is.
So, do we see the unknown fibers in this photograph?
Yes, sir. So it would be that entire bundle of fibers that are present on kind of on the left side, and then it would also be those two fibers to the right side that are closer to the black line.
Okay, so big picture, what's all the yellow?
The yellow is a Post-it note that the fibers were collected on.
All right, and we're looking through a microscope here?
Yes, sir.
And what are these things?
That is just a bundle of fibers that were stuck together and placed on the Post-it note.
And what were these fibers here collected from?
They were collected from the shovel.
From the shovel. Now, over here, what are these objects?
Those are a couple of other fibers that were present on there, so I removed those and mounted those as well.
Look, can you tell what color this fiber is?
It appears to be blue,
And this one?
appears to be red.
And what's this black mark?
So when I received it, it appeared as though whoever had processed that evidence before had marked on the Post-it where the fibers were, so that it wouldn't be confused with where they had placed the hair also.
I mean, it's kind of important to understand we're looking through this is a photograph through a microscope.
Yes, sir, it is.
Move that to the next exhibit, please.
227.
And can you identify this photograph?
Yes, sir. So this is a closer up photo of that blue and red fiber on the right side that was close to the line.
Okay. Blue fiber, red fiber.
Yes, sir.
I'll move that as exhibit 228. And one more photo. Can you identify that?
Yes, sir. So this is just a closer-up photo of just the debris, so the wad of fibers that were present on the left side of that first photograph.
Okay, so our unknown fibers are one's blue and one's red.
Yes, sir. And then there are some white tannish fibers, natural fibers that were located in this bundle.
All right, so your objective, once identifying these unknown fibers, is then to compare them to any other fibers that have been collected in this case at large.
Yes, sir.
All right, and I'll move that as the next exhibit, please.
This one we're talking about is this one?
Yes, sir.
Close up of the bundle of fibers.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Is
That's
that-
229.
Thank you. All right, so you've got a group now of unknown fibers, and you're going to go through and see if any other fibers have been collected and submitted in this entire case.
Yes, sir.
And did you do that?
Yes, sir, I did.
All right, and so let's start at the top of your lab report and work down as to what you've compared the blue, red, and white fibers to.
I compared it to the zip-up hoodie from Joseph Daniels, T-shirt from Joseph Daniels, pants with strings in front left pocket from Joseph Daniels, the boxers from Joseph Daniels, socks from Joseph Daniels, a T-shirt from the dryer at 1112 Garners Creek Road, the trunk fiber standards from the Impala, and I believe that's it.
Okay, and what were the results of your physical examination?
So my report reads, physical examination of Exhibit 20A revealed the presence of several red, white, and blue fibers. Physical and microscopic comparison of the white cotton fibers from Exhibit 20A-01 with the white cotton fibers in the construction of Exhibit 7A revealed them to be consistent with respect to color and appearance. Therefore, the white cotton fibers from the shovel could have come from the zip-up hoodie from Joseph Daniels or another source with these properties. And then we always put a statement that says, due to the frequent use of cotton in today's society, comparison of cotton fibers may have limited evidentiary value. And the reason for that is, if we pulled most of the people in this room, we probably mostly all have white cotton somewhere on our body. So it's a very common fiber, so we don't put a lot of emphasis on the value of that comparison. And then physical and microscopic comparison of the remaining fibers from Exhibit 20A-1 with the fibers in the construction of Exhibits 2A, 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D, 7E, and 13A did not reveal the presence of fibers to indicate a fiber transfer. So they did not come from those items.
Thank you. And let's talk again about how often a white cotton fiber is found in everyday population.
They are everywhere. Like I said, I would be surprised if we pulled everybody in here if we didn't find 90% of people have white cotton on them somewhere. And even if you're not directly wearing white cotton, you may have white cotton transfers on your clothing.
Okay. And what about white cotton, how common it is to red and blue?
The red and blue fibers in this case are actually synthetic fibers. So there are two main types of fibers, natural and synthetic. And that's why we do the microscopic exam, because there's information we can see about fibers to tell whether or not they're synthetic or natural. And so in this case, synthetic fibers are typically rarer than cotton fibers are, white cotton especially.
Okay. And Agent Gaddis, if you could, did I already give you a copy?
You did not.
Can you identify this copy?
Yes, sir.
And what is that?
This is an official copy of my microanalysis report from February 12th of 2020 of the fiber examination.
Thank you. And I will move that as Exhibit 230. And I'll pass the witness.
Mr. Mitchell?
Agent Gaddis, your first report that y'all discussed, you were sent a piece of fiberglass from a field in Dixon County, and you were able to determine that it didn't match the two vehicles you were asked to compare it to.
That is correct.
And then the next report that you discussed with General Crouch, you talked about some fibers, and the results of that were that the white cotton fibers matched one article you checked. But that is not very reliable evidence, because almost every one that has any contact with cotton is going to have white cotton fibers.
Correct.
And the other two, the red and the blue, did not match any of the items.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
So effectively, those did not match anything that was sent to you from my client.
That's correct.
Thank you, Agent Gaddis. You are released from your subpoena.